I'm Dominic Murphy, and I'm here to chair the day and to sort of generally keep everybody on track so we have a good discussion.
Okay, thanks. What are the challenges? What challenges does neighbourhood planning pose for local authorities?
Well, I think, in my presentation I touched on that. I mean, one of the big issues for local authorities is neighbourhood planning looks like it's going to actually create really quite a lot of material, a lot of work really. Positive, all very good on the face of it, but at a time when local authorities are shedding staff rapidly, and it's not just their planning staff either. One of the big challenges for the local authorities is if neighbourhood planning is to work, is to facilitate much better engagement with local residents, maybe people who haven't got involved in these sorts of things before, and they would have done that using some of their other workers like community development workers and youth workers. They're what's called non-statutory workers, and their jobs are going even more rapidly than the planning jobs.
Okay, so this is going to require extra resources. How in this time of cuts are the resources going to be available?
Well, I mean that's the big issue really. I mean, on the face of it, it looks like a very bad time to do something that will require extra resources. What some people think is that actually what's going to happen is that these neighbourhood plans are not going to be anything like as detailed as some people think they are. I think what we're possibly heading for is some people feeling a bit let down. For instance, my neighbours all seem to think that they can have a neighbourhood plan for their street. That's just not going to happen because I don't see how that could possibly, practically speaking, happen on the ground. So there's an issue there. That I did also touch on the potential for some new resources to come in on the back of private sector involvement in developing neighbourhood plans. Obviously one has to be careful about this, that they're not sort of linked to specific developments. So in other words, private sector companies coming along and offering money to communities to sort of for their sort of to buy them off really for their projects. I genuinely think that there's quite a lot of developers who are actually interested in going into this process together with a community, with neighbours, and coming up with a plan that everyone agrees with.
Okay, so that's interesting. And what other partners need to get involved in neighbourhood planning?
Well, I definitely think, at the minute, the ones we see lined up are sort of the council, the local residents, and the developer or planning applicant. But really, small businesses, I think, local businesses, they're a very important part of the whole picture. And of course, not forgetting the other organisations that are in anybody's community, the community organisations, voluntary organisations, all those sorts of people. They need to get involved because they can actually help us get to local residents, particularly local residents who maybe find it difficult to get involved in these things in the first place.